Hello everyone, this is Mr. Alan Newton here. Today I'm going to explain a fantasy action film called The Clash of Titans. Warning, spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. A long time ago, powerful entities known as Titans were the masters of the universe, but their reign was ended by their children who created the enormous monster known as the Kraken to defeat their parents. After doing so, the mortals began calling themselves gods and Zeus became their leader. As time went on, Zeus created man using his own image so that the humans can worship the gods, giving them immortality and infinite powers, but the humans became curious and began to doubt their makers, which eventually made them to rise up against the heavens. Somewhere far away, a fisherman notices a coffin floating in the ocean and decides to take it on board, only to notice a body of a woman with her born child who is amazingly still alive. The fisherman decides to raise the baby by himself as his own until the boy grew up into an adult man called Perseus, who also become a fisherman just like his father. As they were on the journey towards the city of Argos and see the enormous statue of Zeus standing in great glory. But the fisherman notices something wrong, as an army under its feet break it to the ground. The giant statue eventually slowly starts to fall into the ocean as the army celebrates in victory, creating huge waves that spreads through the ocean. Very soon the sun became dark from the clouds and numerous flying demons rush out from the water, charging directly to the soldiers who dare to insult their gods. The flying demons attack the soldiers furiously. This causes the soldiers to also fight back, but the demons are so strong and start to kill them one by one, while throwing others into the oceans. After the fight, the demons start to rotate around, eventually fusing into Hades himself. The deity notices the fisherman's boat and crush it into the ocean with an intention to kill all people on board, but luckily Perseus managed to survive from the attacks and dives in the ocean while swimming desperately to save his family, which is drowning in the water. The boat continues to sink even more deeper. Unfortunately, he fails to save even a single person and decides to rise up to the surface with great sadness. At the same time, Zeus has noticed the humans' defiance against the gods and becomes furious towards the humans for betraying his love for them. Hades also arrives at Olympus at the same time and try to convince his brother Zeus to take revenge against the people of Argos. Apollo advises against this, as they need the humans' prayers for their immortality, but Zeus accepts Hades' request as it is the only way to remind the humans about their creators. So he grants him a wish to take the action even though it's not his wish. On the other side, Perseus is rescued from the ocean by the people of Argos and they decide to take him to the city itself. The soldiers' leader notifies King Capheus that the mission was complete despite the heavy casualties. The people began to celebrate in victory while the king assures his people that a new era is coming where the gods will not control the destiny of men anymore. The king's daughter Andromeda warns the people against their ex as she believes that there will be severe consequences for annoying the gods. Her mother laughs at her worries while informing her that they are the gods now. Very soon, dark fumes begin to appear in the middle of the room. A mysterious force then begins to pull the soldiers one by one towards the dark fumes. It gathers as many soldiers as possible, dimming the lights of the room while all the people are helpless. Surprisingly, Perseus manages to stay grounded despite the strong force. The fumes eventually gathers together, revealing Hades himself as he is astonished about Perseus' abilities. Hades turns the attention towards the Queen of Argos as he flies across the whole room. By just touching her, he drains her life forces and turns her into a corpse within seconds. He then announces that he will release the Kraken when the eclipse of the sun occurs, unless the people offer the queen's daughter to the monster as a sacrifice for offending the gods. Before leaving, Hades purposely reveals that Perseus is the son of Zeus, and he is responsible for the outcoming disasters, just like a curse against the people of Argos. The people eventually take Perseus hostage, demanding to know how they can resolve this curse, but Perseus tells them that he is clueless just like everyone else. However, Perseus is then visited by a woman called Io, who seems to know all about his past, confirming his identity as a demigod. Apparently before his birth, King Acrisius decided to stage a rebellion against the gods by pondering an attack towards Mountain Olympus. But instead of destroying all his army, Zeus decided to punish Acrisius in a more terrible way. He transformed himself into a bird and then into Acrisius himself and decided to do some aggressive cattling with the queen. When the king returns to his chamber, it was already too late. Then King Acrisius ordered the execution of his wife alongside the unborn offspring of Zeus. Before the man can cast out the coffin, the deity strikes him with lightning, turning him into a scary, terrifying monster tormenting him for eternity. Io tells Perseus that his power as a demigod makes him the perfect man to slay the Kraken, and if the monster dies, Hades will also be weakened since the monster was made from his body. Realizing that this is the only chance to take revenge on his family killer, Perseus decides to join an army led by Draco as they head towards a rocky mountain which is the home for the sticky witches who have the knowledge for all things, so that they can find a way to kill the Kraken. On the other side, Hades decides to visit Acrisius, who now lives in isolation as an outcast, and tells him that the son of Zeus was able to survive after all these years. The deity then offers Acrisius to be his weapon of revenge and breathes some suspicious gases of corruption into his body. This act gives Acrisius enormous power, and Hades promises him to destroy Zeus if the deity kills the son of Zeus, Perseus. On the other side, Zeus has arrived into a forest and he encounters a golden aura that is calling for him. He directly goes to discover what the item is. It turns out that Zeus has gifted him with a magical weapon that was made from heaven in order to assist him through his journey, but Zeus refuses anything from the gods, as it was them that caused his family to die. As he continues the other side, he encounters another extraordinary sighting of numerous horses with wings. Before he can admire the beauty of the creatures, another big black horse with wings appears in front of him, causing him to fall down to the ground because of being terrified. The creature then opens up its massive wings, covering a wide area. Ao appears from behind and tells him that this is a magical creature called Pegasus that must be sent to them by the gods in order to help them destroy the Kraken. Suddenly, their conversation is cut short as loud scream is being heard nearby. Perseus runs to see, only to find out that Acrisius has easily killed 2 of his comrades. The creature then starts to run towards him like a terrifying beast, and then kicking him easily to the ground. The monster runs after Perseus, chasing him closely behind through the trees. It then jumps towards the air and then to the ground with enormous power, barely missing Perseus in the process. Perseus tries to fight back, but the monster is too strong and bites him on the arm. This causes him to scream loudly in pain. Luckily, he is able to break free and the other soldiers rush in to help him, but they are clearly no match for the monster due to its unbearable strength as it kills them one by one. The monster then turns the attention once again to Perseus as it grabs him with one hand like a little insect, trying to crush his head into pancake. Luckily, Draco manages to chop the creature's hand off and saving the man's life in the process. The monster decides to run away as Perseus chases after it alongside other soldiers after knowing that it has been hurt so bad. What they didn't realize was that the hand that was chopped off from the monster had started to turn into a deadly scorpion. Very soon, one of the teammates manages to ambush the creature by knocking it down. Unfortunately, they realize that something is wrong as grounds begin to shake and numerous claws begin to appear on the surface. Gigantic scorpions then start appear in front while allowing Acrisius to escape. They are forced to fight for their lives. The soldiers are overwhelmed by the creatures as they are pieced one by one and sending them flying in the air like little insects. While the creature is not looking, Draco jumps onto its body, and then stubbing it on its back with all his might. One of the soldiers manages to assist him by throwing a long spear towards Draco, allowing him to piece the deadly creature to its death. On the other side, Perseus tries to attack the giant insect with all his might, but he gets hit by the creature's claws as he falls to the ground. The creature grabs him with its claws and smashes him into the pillars, preparing to pierce him with its giant sting. Before it can finish the kill, Ao interferes and throws a spear-like weapon towards its sting, cutting off its venomous tail. This angers the creature as it charges towards Ao, trying to kill her. Ao runs towards the pillars trying to avoid the vicious insect. Luckily, Perseus is able to rescue her in the last moment while running away to avoid the venomous insect. The creature chases them closely behind as they head towards another pillars. Realizing that there is nowhere to run, Perseus throws Ao away and prepares to fight the vicious insect all by himself. The creature rushes towards him and crushes him through the pillars with all its might. Before falling to the ground below, other people watch in shock as creature has apparently devoured the demigod. Surprisingly, Perseus manages to break open free while killing the creature in the process. Before they can celebrate their victory, other people are observed running towards them, trying to avoid other scorpions that are coming from behind the hills, the creatures surrounding them with nowhere to run. Before the creature can attack, they are frozen in place as chantings can be heard in the far distance. Draco recognizes the people as chants, enemies that they fought numerous years ago, but Perseus believes that they are allies now, because they are responsible for stopping the scorpions. On top of that, they are able to domesticate the insects in order to help the people through the journey towards the home to the sticky witches, before the eclipse of the sun occurs. Although hasted at first, the soldiers quickly decide to trust the chants as it is the only way to make through their journey fast before the eclipse occurs. With the use of the scorpion, the team is able to walk through the long desert effortlessly, finally reaching the Garden of Stygia, the home of the dangerous witches. As the night falls, they are able to climb towards the top of the hills. Eventually, numerous creatures without eyes begin to appear in front of them. 3 hideous creatures begins to approach them while holding their eye in their palms. The witches inform them that they know exactly what the warriors want and demand payment for their knowledge. The creatures then begin to attack the soldiers while Perseus manages to steal their only eye and threatens that he will destroy it unless the warriors offer him a solution to kill the Kraken. With no other choice, the witches tell him that only the head of Medusa can slay the giant beast, as it is the only thing that can turn anything with flesh into stones. Satisfied with the answer, Perseus decides to throw the creature's eyes towards them, and plans to leave together with the soldiers. Before that, the creature tell him ironically that he will die in the process no matter how much he tries. After hearing this unpleasant prophecy, many people chose to abandon the mission, leaving only the soldiers and the leader of the chants, who is so determined to take revenge on Hades for banishing his people into the desert. While Perseus moves down from the hills, he encounters a mysterious man who follows him from behind. He then finds out it is not any other person other than Zeus himself. The deity tells him that he is not going to defeat the Kraken or take revenge on Hades, as it was confirmed by the witch's prophecies. Zeus wants to offer a place for Perseus in heaven so that he can live together with other gods, but Perseus refuses to take the offer, choosing to live and die as a man instead. Not wishing to see his son fail, the deity throws a golden coin towards his son to help him reach Medusa's lair, as the place requires significant payment. After venturing across the lands, the group eventually reach a giant hole in the middle of the land that resides below the surface of the earth, where a ghostly river that is covered in fog appears in front of them. Perseus takes out the golden coin that was given to him, and the chant throws it to the river while chanting a spell trying to bribe the ferrymen to take them to the underworld. Very soon, numerous dead souls appear in front of them while pulling a giant boat towards them. The captain demon welcomes the people on board. They travel across the river that is covered with molten rocks from the earth's core, eventually reaching a clearing as they reach their destination. The soldiers continue forward onto a rocky field, eventually reaching the entrance towards Medusa's lair, where only men are able to enter as they leave Ao behind. The soldiers continue inside the rocky cave that is covered by larvae, where countless statues of men are frozen in place, all victims to Medusa's powers. They begin hearing a woman's ironic laughter, realizing that the monster must be nearby. Suddenly, multiple arrows are shot towards the soldiers, causing them to fall into the larva pits below. Perseus manages to hold on while saving the chant in the process. Draco orders the soldiers to lower the monster the other side, while Perseus pulls the chant with him back to the surface. The soldiers try desperately to avoid the demon's arrows, but they are turned into statues very quickly as they fall to the ground. Perseus runs away alongside with the chant while trying desperately to avoid the demon's arrows from the huntress as she searches for her prey. Perseus tells his comrade to wait for him while he lowers the monster to the other side. Perseus runs towards the openings, causing the monster to chase after him closely, trying desperately to tear the man into pieces. Draco watches them from a far distance while waiting for the perfect time to ambush the monster. Very soon Perseus manages to lower the creature back to the chant as he slashes directly towards Medusa's head, but ultimately misses the target as he gets captured by the creature's tail. The monster tries to turn the chant into stones, but surprisingly fails as the creature has not even a single flesh on his body. The chant laughs at Medusa and decides to blow himself up, knocking the monster away alongside Perseus. Before the monster can recover, Draco jumps onto a giant rock, causing it to fall directly onto the monster's body, trapping her on the ground. The monster looks back at the man in anger, hence turning him into a statue. This gives Perseus a chance to aim for the creature using the reflections from the mirror. Medusa launches forward as the warrior jumps from the ground, slashing the Medusa's head while keeping his eyes closed, hence avoiding the demon's gaze. This causes the creature's head and its body to fall apart, and body continues falling into the larva pits below. Perseus manages to come out as the only survivor while carrying Medusa's head. Unfortunately, Acrisius appears from behind and stubs Ao from the back and thrown onto the wall like a little insect. The warrior charges directly to the killer, trying to take revenge for his friends, but he is quickly kicked to the ground like nothing. Perseus fights back viciously, managing to stub the creature on the leg, but he is clearly no match for the Acrisius and gets punched and sent flying in the air and falling back to the ground. Seeing his friend about to die, Perseus decides to use the weapon of the gods, jumping into the air while striking the enemy, gaining an upper hand once and for all. Acrisius is overwhelmed by the warrior's attacks and he finally gets stabbed in the stomach. This causes his body to turn into human foam while he falls into the abyss. Perseus rushes to his friend who is about to die, but Ao tells him to save the people instead while assuring him that everything will be alright before turning into nothingness. Before the man can moan for her death, he notices the Pegasus flying towards him, offering him a quick means of transport to go back to Agus before the city is destroyed. As the eclipse occurs, the sea begins to open up, releasing a number of giant tentacles, all rushing towards the city and creating huge waves in the ocean. The people realize that the monster is coming and ties the princess onto a platform above, offering her as a sacrifice for the Kraken so that everyone else can be spared. Giant tentacles rush smashing onto the city with enormous power. The people begin to run away for their lives. On the other side, The palace inside Olympus begins to shake violently as Hades finally reveals to Zeus that he had tricked all other gods into making him stronger. Since the Kraken is made from the body of Hades, destruction caused by the monster will increase his powers, making him more stronger while making everyone else weaker. On the other side, Perseus closer in order to slay the Kraken, but Hades has noticed the demigod's presence and charges towards him by transforming into numerous demons. The demons were able to steal the head of Medusa while Perseus chases them closely behind, eventually reaching into the city where giant tentacles are killing all the innocent people. Perseus is able to knock down some of the demons that are chasing him while trying desperately to go after the creature that is holding Medusa's head. Very soon the Kraken begins to emerge from the water, showing its massive body while wooing furiously at the people. The princess cries helplessly after witnessing the terrifying beast. Perseus continues to persuade the flying demon that is carrying Medusa's while forcing it into the air and barely missing to be devoured by the Kraken in the process. The warrior jumps down from the horse and he is able to grab onto the creature, causing them to fall to the ground and right behind the princess. The creature charges in and prepares to devour the princess in a single bite. Perseus manages to grab Medusa's head and rushes towards the creature. The demigod removes Medusa and shunts her gaze onto the massive creature, causing it to slowly turn into stones as it screams in agony. The creature becomes frozen in place while wooing furiously. This causes its massive arm to fall onto the ground, eventually killing most of the people below. Andromeda falls into the ocean while the creature's body breaks apart into stone that falls to the ocean due to gravity. Hades appears in front of Perseus in order to take revenge for killing his monster. But the demigod uses the weapon of the gods to gather lightning from the sky and throws the weapon directly towards the enemy, causing a powerful shock wave that sends the evil deity directly into the underworld. Perseus jumps into the water and swims desperately towards the princess in order to save her from drowning. Eventually, he is able to hold onto her hand and both are able to make it out to the beaches unharmed. Andromeda offers Perseus to be her husband, but the Perseus refuses the offer as he is not willing to be a king in the future. After returning the princess to the people of Aegis, Perseus gets a visit from Zeus once again. The deity rewards his son for saving the heavens by reviving Io back to life, allowing the warrior to live his life with the woman that he loves. So what do you guys think about this movie? Let me know down in the comments, and if you liked my video, simply like and subscribe in order to help the channel out. Thank you and see you next time.